I will say the one bonus to being in those hotel rooms is that I got to use my Lush bath bombs. That was the only bonus. I got to take a lavender bath and that was very relaxing. Hi guys, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. And today I guess we're just going to do a little life update action, I guess. Since it has been like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks since I filmed, a lot has been going on. So I figured why not, you know, give a little life update. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and I don't know, give a comment. Tell me how your year has been going. Because mine's been crazy. We're going to start with the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer right here. And that was all over my eye. Great. First, we're going to start with the Persona Identity palette. Okay, so how has my year been? Well, January was great. Well, it was okay. Honestly, it just felt normal, if I'm being totally honest. And I think we're just gonna go for a neutral eye, so I think I'm just gonna start with Fearless for the outer corner. I'm actually gonna zoom you guys in. Okay, so just for some context, if you live in Memphis, Tennessee, you tend to get like very crazy weather. Like one day it'll be like 70 degrees, like for example this week. One day it'll be 70 degrees and the next day it'll be like how it is now, like 25 degrees, which is like insane. So I believe it was last week. We were notified that we were getting an ice storm about like 4 days in advance. I'm now going in with Goddess, and you know, we were told 4 days in advance to prepare, you know, go to store, all that good stuff. So, you know, as Memphians do, we prepare, we get our milk and bread as us Southerners do, and all that good stuff. I believe the ice storm was on a Thursday. It comes, and the studio I work at lets us know, like, hey, because of incoming weather, you know, we're not gonna be going into studio today, which I'm like, sweet. Next, going to do Maverick. So we're told, hey, you have the day off, we're not going into work today. I was like, cool, sweet. Wasn't going anyway when, you know, there's an ice storm coming. So I'm just here enjoying my day off, watching anime, pretty much like somewhat planning to be productive and film. And that whole morning I kept hearing my neighbor's trees just like constantly falling across the street. Like every 30 minutes I would hear like a giant crack and more of his tree would be like on our street. So I was like, oh gosh, I hope that doesn't like mess up anything, because he's not there. And at about 10:45 our power goes out. And sometimes that happens on our street where like the power will go out, but it's like not that big of a deal. Sometimes it can be like somewhat like a rolling blackout thing where it'll go out and then it'll come right back on. So we're like, okay, let's not panic. It's probably gonna come right back on. No one panic. But of course it doesn't come back on, which is bad when there's an ice storm and it's below 32. So, you know, we do what we usually do, which is call Memphis Light, Gas, and Water, let them know there's power outage in our neighborhood. And we look out, but of course it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. So we can't really tell if our other neighbors' lights are out. But definitely our side of the street was out. So we do that. By then it's not that cold in the house because the heat has been going on that entire night. So, you know, we're fine. It just kind of sucks because we were literally about to eat something because we don't eat at the crack of dawn. We usually eat like way later. So we're just like, okay, let's not panic. Maybe the lights will come back on, you know. And unfortunately, they do not. The power stayed out until that following Monday. But that's besides the point. So, and just me being me, I usually cannot sleep when the power is out. So that night, I was basically up the entire night just waiting for the lights to come back on. Okay. For the inner corner, I'm going to go in with Gold Digger, this gold color. And eventually, I guess at some point in the day, the neighbors across the street lights go out as well. So I was like, okay, well, at least it's the whole street. But at some point in the night, their lights come back on. So we're like, oh, okay, so that's so much. So we're just like, okay, so cool, they're working on it at least. So again, not panicking. We're just like, okay, so we just gotta wait for them to turn the light back on and stuff. And guess what? The lights never come back on. Okay, we will surely clean that up. Yeah, the lights just never come back on. Our neighbors across the street, lights come back on, but not ours. So we're like, oh God. And of course, because it's like freezing and it's like the temperature the next day, that Friday, was about, I would say like, I believe it was about like 19 degrees. And if you're from the South or you're from Memphis or you've been here, you should know that like we are not prepared for like any temperature, I would say under, maybe any temperature under like 40. Like Memphis is not prepared for like freezing cold temperatures. So the fact that this happened and like the magnitude of it, like especially because in my neighborhood there are like a lot of trees. There are a lot of trees around. We live near the woods. All of our neighbors have giant trees in their backyard. So the fact that this happened and there were like so many trees down, like here and then like Midtown, like that was a problem. So the next day, me and my mom decide, okay, let's like get a little warm, let's go drive around and see like what the rest of the neighborhood looks like. Let's just see what's going on so we can know what's going on. And we do that. We go to the gas station by our house. We go get gas, get some coffee, get some snacks, because we don't know how long the power's gonna be out. And we see like the major street next to my street is blocked off, which is not a good sign. And when we leave our house, it's snowing, which is also like not a good sign. And we see everyone is at the gas station, also getting snacks, getting coffee, just trying to see what's going on. So we're like, oh, well, I mean, yay, we're not the only ones, but also just like, oh no, like this is way worse than we thought. So then we started like calling around to our family members, making sure they're okay and everything. And it turns out my aunt and uncle had like a tree in their yard. Well, a tree in their driveway, so they couldn't really like get out of their house. But hey, they had power, which is what I just mainly wanted to know. So we're driving around. We ended up driving to Mississippi to go to Chick-fil-A to get some food because we're starving. And we just wanted a hot meal. And we have like a ring cam. So we're like looking to see if like anyone has any updates. To see like what's going on. And pretty much everyone in our like surrounding neighborhood, all of their power is out. So we're like, oh crap. This might be going on for a while. The eyes are sisters, but not twins. Now we're gonna go with foundation. You know, Fenty Beauty as always. So we're just like, okay, you know, not gonna panic. We're just gonna wait it out. You never know. They say crews are working on it, so we're gonna have faith. A few hours, it's now freezing cold in the house. It is, I believe it was the temperature was somewhere between 40 and 38 degrees in the house. Like, it was freezing cold. Like, I was laying in my bed, and I had 2 sweatshirts on, 2 joggers on. I also had on, my big puff coat and 2 hats on, I believe. And because we didn't have power, we also didn't have Wi-Fi. And also, I will have to keep going back to my car to charge my phone. So that's just some of the things we dealt with. And also, we were trying really hard to not open up our refrigerator a lot, so like none of the food in there would go bad. So so the night before, we were thinking about maybe we should get a hotel room, but by the time we like thought of that, it was about like 7 or 8, and we were just like, let's just hold out and see if they get the lights back on. But now it was freezing cold, and we could not stay there that night. Like, it was like I could literally see my breath just sitting in my room breathing. Like, we could not stay there that night. So I start looking for a hotel, and honestly, we should have left that night, because definitely I believe they said initially like 30% of Memphis power was out, so like 130,000 people, I believe, were affected. And definitely, how can I put this? Pretty much all of those people went to a hotel and stayed at said hotel. Like, when I say every hotel in Memphis was booked, it was booked. And even the hotels in Mississippi were booked, like, to full capacity. And it was heart-wrenching to think, like, we're gonna have to be sleeping in this freezing cold house that night. Like, I believe like it was gonna get down to like 19 degrees that night, and I was just like, we cannot stay here. Like, we can't, like, literally, like, safety wise, we could not. So by some miracle, when my phone was on 2% and barely running from the Wi-Fi that I barely had, I found a hotel in Memphis, and we called them to make sure they had power. They did. So we rushed out of the house, and we went to that hotel. I'm going to use the Rare Beauty powder. So we go to the first hotel. Mind you, this is the first hotel we stayed in. And the stay was nice, but definitely I noticed like a lot of families were there. Definitely a lot of families of color. A lot of black people were there. Because in my opinion, like, I definitely think like the first 3 or 4 days after the storm, I don't really think they were really working on the power. In my opinion, I don't think they were. They were probably working on it in like the other neighborhoods, like Germantown, Bartlett, all that stuff. But just like in my neighborhood, I live in South Memphis, very close to Mississippi. And I just personally don't think they were working on getting our power anytime soon, in my opinion. And definitely a lot of the like hotel receptions were like saying the same thing, because they were also saying that. So I just don't think like we were like a priority in all this, and still not a priority, because still currently when I'm filming this, there's still 20,000 people who don't have power. And today's Saturday, so it's been like 8 days, which is ridiculous. But anyway, I digress. So we go to our first hotel. I'm going to use this Beauty Bakery blush palette right here. And I think I'm gonna go with this like purpley one in the middle. So we go to the first hotel. I am honestly just happy to be in a warm bed. Me and my mom shared a king bed because that's quite literally the only room they had left, and I was not complaining. It was a very nice stay. We pretty much just like sat there, watched TV. My mom watched some movies and stuff. I played a little Sims. So we were comfortable, you know. If we had the opportunity to go home, back to power, halfway through our stay, we probably would have left. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. So yeah, we were comfortable that night, and we were so Memphis Like Gas and Water has like kind of like an outage map. Yeah, an outage map on their website, and also you can see, well, also you can call to like hear information about your outage. So we were calling like every 2 hours or so. And we were calling like every 2 hours, and by this time it's now Saturday, and it was basically saying like, oh, someone's working on your power right now. Well, it was saying the needed materials. They figured out what materials were needed for our outage, and a crew was going to be assigned as soon as they could. So we were like, okay, so maybe it'll be like 3 hours, we'll have power again, at the most, like 3 hours. Whenever there's normal blackout, and it's basically saying like the materials have been like figured out, that usually means you'll get power within like 2 to 3 hours at the most. So we decided to check out of our hotel and go back home and pretty much like wait it out, you know, because it shouldn't be much longer, right? So we go back home, still have no power, feeling a little defeated. We maybe stay home for 30 minutes. We're like, okay, it's freezing in here. We go run some errands, and hopefully the power will be back on then. And it's not. So we then decide, okay, we can't stay here. Let's find another hotel and we'll go from there. Well, no. We pretty much said, let's call our old hotel that we were just staying in and see if we can get our room back. They were full that day. Because I guess, obviously, no one else really had power. So everyone just went back to that hotel. So I start hotel search number 2, and after like maybe 2 hours and my hands nearly freezing off, I find the second hotel we stayed in, which was in Mississippi, and we run to that hotel. We run. So we check in into the new room again. We're comfortable, we're not complaining. We're just happy to be in a warm bed, if I'm being completely honest. And I will be right back, and I'm gonna do my eyeliner off camera. We are back. Okay. Like I said, we're in our second hotel. We're comfortable. And we end up staying at this hotel until, I believe, Monday. Because, yeah, we stayed there till Monday. So, like I said, we're calling Memphis like got some water. We're watching the news. We're watching all of these press conferences that they're doing. And the whole time, we're just like, when is our power coming back on? I think of it this way. We were lucky enough to find a hotel. I need my mirror. We were lucky enough to find a hotel. There were some people who were not so lucky. And like, just for even more context, like I live in a neighborhood that's mainly like elderly people who definitely use like machines and things to, you know, be able to function. So the simple fact that we did not have power for like 5 days, it could have been detrimental to them. Like, I'm young, I can manage, but just like the older people in my neighborhood, I was worried about. Because some of them are in their like 80s and 70s. So they just can't like adjust, you know. By this time, they have gotten outside help from, I believe it was New Orleans and Philadelphia. When all of this started, they only had 50 crews who were working on the problem, which is like when 30% of the city, and Memphis is a big city, their power goes out, you need in general more than 50 crews. Like, the math is not mathing. So like I said, it's Sunday. We end up getting in like a different room because we were in a handicap room. That was honestly the only room they had left, and they let us have it, thankfully. So the lady gave us a different room. She also gave us a voucher because we were just talking about our situation. She felt bad for us because she's seen so many people have to deal with this. So it's Sunday night. I'm calling multiple times trying to figure out when our power is going to come back on. And then by this time it's Monday. Call again, still says the same thing. And now I have to go back to work. And fun fact about my job, we have to take COVID tests every 72 hours. So basically we take a COVID test Wednesday night and turn it in on Thursday, and then Sunday night we turn it in on Monday before we come in. And obviously that was not my priority. So I decided to run home. Make sure no one's been in our house because we haven't been there in 2 days. Change clothes for work, grab my COVID tests, and run to work. And I did that, and by that time, like I said, we haven't been there in 2 days. So I could tell like our like side street that leads to like the main street, one of Memphis's like main roads. Well, the side street that leads from the major street to our house, like it was still full of branches in the road, so no one's came to clean that. And a big part of the major road was still blocked off, so I could kind of tell like none of the tree trimmers have been there. I don't think Memphis Light Gas and Water has been there, which is crazy because we're literally 15 minutes from a Memphis Light Gas and Water like station. So again, feeling defeated. I I get ready to go to work, and I go to work, take my COVID test when I get there, and I just let my two managers know, like, hey, I'm gonna leave early around 4 so I can go check on our house because we still don't have power. So I go throughout my work day. I'm calling my uncle to make sure they can get out of their driveway. They could by then. The branch had been moved. We're getting updates that a crew is currently working on our house by like Monday that afternoon, which was great. My mom watched the news and she saw like the people who were, my mom was watching the news and saw like more people were coming in to help, but there was still like a lot of people who didn't have power. It was still like 110,000 people who still didn't have power, which is insane. That was Monday, so that was like 4 days after the ice storm started on like Thursday morning. So that evening I leave, everyone's like, hey, I hope your power's back on, wish you luck. I was like, thank you so much. And I drive home, and I noticed like the road is cleared up a little bit more leading to my house, and we left our porch light on to see like if our power had came back and stuff. And I'm driving towards our house, and I can see, yay, our porch light's back on. So I run inside, and we have Wi-Fi, we have power. The house was 52 degrees by then, and mind you, 2 days before it got down to 38. It probably got down to even colder while we were gone. But everything was working. Our TVs were working. Wi-Fi was working. I called my mom. I let her know. I tell her, let's go ahead and check out this hotel so we can be at home. And let's just get some food on the way there because we're probably going to throw some things out. And yeah. So as a total, we didn't have power for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We didn't have power for 5 days in this ice storm. And granted, it is now Saturday, and there's still 20,000 people who don't have power right now. So it's still a very bad situation. So yeah, that's our little ice story tell. And just to like kind of like even put in even more how bad it is, well, how bad it was, my mom said she spent about like $575 on like hotel stay for like both hotels. And then also we didn't have to throw out much. We mainly just threw out some frozen salmon and like ice cream and like yogurt and stuff, so it wasn't like a lot. But like I said, we have the Ring app, so we get neighborhood notifications, and there were like a lot of people saying they basically had to throw out like all the food in like their deep freezer because like their meat began to like unthaw after like Sunday. And there were folks like pleading to let them know if they've seen like Memphis like gas and water trucks because they needed electricity and like power for like insulin. There were people who like needed to know when like the warming stations were open. I even remember our like main library like putting out on Facebook like they don't know if they can, but they're gonna try and stay open later in case people need to come in and warm up to charge their phones. And the whole time, if it's like gas and water is like not updating their outage map, they're not updating like the phone system. At some point, I know during the phone system, it wouldn't even let you look up your account so you can get an update. So honestly, the whole situation was just handled very, very poorly in my opinion, and it's still being handled poorly. They've tried to make up for it. They did like a food drive, but also like people still don't have power. It's winter in Memphis. Again, Memphians are not prepared for a winter that is below 40 degrees because we are in the South. We are used to dangerous heat, not dangerous cold. So people still don't have their power. Luckily, we got power on Monday. We are comfortable. Our power hasn't gone back out. I've heard some people's power has gone back out, and also some local businesses still don't have power, so that's hurting them. But luckily, me and my mom have power. We're very comfortable. We didn't get any we didn't get any damage to our house or anything, which is also great. So very thankful for that. So I thought that I would share that with you guys. And also, for even more context, if you've lived in Memphis or like near Memphis, you probably already know about this, but the year I was born, 1994, there was a big ice storm that happened in February of that year, so before I was born. And my mom was living in Memphis when that happened, and it was just her and my brother. And she said it was so bad that they did not have power for 2 weeks. 2 weeks without heat or power. Luckily, my uncle gave her a generator that we share with one of our old neighbors, so she didn't have to like leave or anything, or like just be stuck in the cold. But still, just comparing the two scenarios, like, things should not be like as bad as it was in 1994 when it's 2022. Just saying. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed my rambling and the video, and like I said, all of the makeup I use will be linked down below. Okay, so I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Just saying. Okay, well,